Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Everyone has bad days, whether it's you burnt your toast, somebody flips you off in the car, the kids are screaming. A bad day is not something you're going to avoid as a human being, unfortunately, but there are ways that you can reset. Today's episode is called How to Reset After a Bad Day. I'm Andrew, and with me always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
I am good. I am not having a bad day today, so that is good.
That is great because that means you don't have to worry about resetting right now, which is
I know.
kind of a nice thing. The resets are hard when you're not used to doing them. That's just the way it is.
I agree.
So you need to know where you are, right? We always say change starts with awareness. And in this moment, when you're having a bad day, you just need to be aware that, okay, I'm having a bad day. This is not how I wanted my day to go. And if I keep putting energy into it, it's going to keep getting worse because you're just kind of tumbling down the stairs. So I think the first thing you just got to do is just kind of normalize it and go, it's just a day. I'm overwhelmed right now, but it's just a day. It's going to reset.
Yep, it is just a day. And if we're lucky and we have the opportunity, we'll all wake up tomorrow and get to try again. I think that the real serious problems come when you can't break the negative thought spiral and one bad day leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to bad months, bad seasons, bad years. And so I think that this episode is really important because we can teach people not only to have awareness, to have some compassion for themselves, knowing that not every day is going to be a good day. That's what we agreed to when we came to live here on the Earth Rock. And that's just how it goes sometimes. But if you can listen to this episode and learn a few coping skills and ways to reset, it can really stop that negative cycle of having one bad day after the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so many of us have that. And there's that expression like, it's a bad thought turns into a bad kind of mentality. A bad mentality turns into a bad mood, and a bad mood turns into a bad year, which turns into a bad life because you just never break the habit. But I think you need to be kind to yourself in that moment. I think that's the thing that we all need in a bad day is we don't need more bad. We don't need to beat up on ourselves. We need to know that, okay, I need some compassion right now. A little self-compassion will go a long way right now. So maybe we should just kind of understand first, why do bad days suck so bad?
It's just like anything. We try to say on the show, there's no such thing as a bad feeling. Feelings are just feelings. Emotions are emotions. But the truth is that we all prefer the better feelings. We prefer the laughing. We prefer the joy and all of these things. But as we've said on this show, one of my favorite episodes we've ever done is the contrast episode. We would not know what a good day is without a bad day. Every time we have a bad day, a bad moment, a difficult conversation, that is the contrast and the reason that we know all the good that's possible in the world. So they do serve a purpose.
They do. Absolutely. I think when something bad is happening to us, we need to maybe understand the physiology of like what's going on in our brains and our bodies. So when something unexpected happens, whether it's big or small, depending on how our nervous system already is going into this, it is going to have a reaction of some kind. And that reaction could be big or small. And if you are really, really an anxious person, or you have this ability to not really self-regulate the way you might want to, you're going to feel very overstimulated. And then your brain's going to likely go into what's called a hyperarousal zone. And that's what a lot of us refer to as the fight or flight mode. So think of it like this, you're okay, something happens and it sets you off. If you're not able to return back to base at that moment, which is really hard to do, you're going to kind of get into that really like agitated zone. And when that's going on, your brain isn't looking for calm. Your brain is looking for threats. And suddenly the bad mood, the bad day is like becoming like, oh, and that's bad, and that's bad, and that's bad, and I can't believe they did this. And your brain just kind of keeps going, going, and going. And it gets so loud that it gets harder to regulate. So, and then when that happens, everything's like just feels weighted down. It feels heavier. It feels like so much more. Now, I'm saying all of this outside of a bad day so that you can listen to this and go, okay, so this is what's happening. We need to understand first why this is happening. Then we need to figure out how we adapt afterwards.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's really helpful to have a friend, a loved one, a partner who can gently and kindly point out this dysregulation because often when you are inside of the bad day, it's very difficult to get outside of yourself and say, wow, I'm really dysregulated right now. I had a bad day a few days ago, and what was weird is that I didn't really realize it was happening. I went to therapy in the morning and I had a really good, productive therapy session. There was no like massive tears or breakdowns. That would have been okay. But as far as therapy sessions go, it was pretty mild. But because of the topics that were discussed and all of these things, I was dysregulated and I didn't realize it. And Andrew immediately knew it. He was like, you got cracked open in therapy. I can tell that the level of worry and anxiety and all of these things is much higher than your typical. And it's up to me to learn how to sort of take that feedback and be like, you're probably right. I can't see it right now, but you're probably right. So it takes a lot of growth and time. The tips that we're sharing in this episode are not because we are experts in them, but rather because the times we've gotten it right, not even close to experts, the times we've gotten it right or the times where we've been receptive to each other saying, hey, you might need a rest right now, have been really helpful. So kudos to anyone who can recognize being dysregulated in the moment. It's something we're both working towards, but that's what we're going for here is the recognizing and the awareness of what's going on so that you can take the next right step to helping yourself feel better.
Yeah, and I've got something from my therapist that sits just behind the screen here that is like the living within the window of tolerance, and there are different arousal zones. So you have like your normal, like your optimal arousal zone, which is like, I'm good, I'm happy, I can think and feel, nothing really gets me. And then you have this hyper arousal zone, which is fight or flight, which is like, you're defensive, you have emotional reactivity, you're feeling unsafe, you have anger, impulsivity, rage, hypervigilance, you're obsessive, you have cyclical thought. All of those things contribute to your bad day. And if you have too much of that, you can go into hypoarousal, which is like you just check out. You are numb. You can't say no to anything. Like you just feel disconnected. You're shut down. You're passive. It's just you have flat affect. You're ashamed. You can't is like the best way I can phrase it. And I've also had a day like that recently where I'm like, I just can't. I was drained. I tried everything. And the nice thing is coming back when you can start to see yourself as these ways is actually there's a lot of somatic stuff you can do, breath work, a lot of things that are free that will get you back into your optimal arousal zone, as it's called.
Like that. And honestly, let's just get right to it. I mean, I wanted to start off the episode by saying we all have these bad days. This is something we all deal with. And of course, no one wants to feel bad for long periods of time. No one wants to be reactive or cranky. We all feel bad. We take out our bad days on the people we love. And so a big part of that was just normalizing this experience as a human experience and to remind you, dear listener, that you are not failing. You're just flooded with emotions or external factors and stimuli. And there are ways to get your brain and your body to cope with it so that the experience doesn't repeat tomorrow. So let's get right into some of the ways that people can reset after a bad day. What would you do, Andrew? Or what would you recommend to me if I was having a bad day today?
Maybe the first thing I'll tell you is what I won't do
Yeah,
because I've made
okay,
all the
fair enough.
mistakes.
Okay,
I
fair
won't
enough.
I I won't force positivity. Like smiling and going, everything is great is just your body, it's just going to attack you. Overanalyzing doesn't help either. If you're sitting there going like, okay, well, why did that person flip me off in the car? It's like, who cares? It's done, but you're
Yeah.
going to ruminate over it. So what you need to, you can't problem solve when you're like this. You can't pretend that you're fine. You need to understand that you're not okay. And it's okay to be not okay. You need to realize that the change that needs to happen isn't going to happen in your mind. It's going to happen in your body. And that is the biggest game changer, is kind of recognizing that when you're dysregulated, you're up here in your head. You are not in your body. You are not feeling. You are thinking of everything else that you need to protect yourself from. So that's the first thing.
I think another mistake people make is like powering through. I feel like that was my coping skill with just about everything for a long time. Right?
Quietly
It's like
raises my hand.
it's like I'm having a bad day. I'm just gonna like put my head down and like get through it. And a lot of times we don't really have a choice. People have meetings and jobs, presentations, little kids. But it's sort of that knowing in your head, I'm gonna push through, but at this time, I'm not going to binge watch TV. I'm going to eat a healthy meal tonight. I'm going to go to bed early. And, is like kind of developing a plan for the rest of your day, because pushing through and doing all your normal stuff in the evenings when you feel this bad, it's going to lead to a fight with your partner. It's going to lead to you like freaking out that someone left out a dish. You're going to be like a 12 out of 10. The littlest things are going to irritate you, and it's going to snowball from there. Powering through is the opposite of what to do to have a better day tomorrow, because it's going to lead to too many other things. That is
Yeah,
my most common mistake, I would say, with
I
this.
would say it's one I've done my whole life too, and it's counterintuitive, right? Because your brain kind of keeps busy and it's going like, "Oh, this is good. I need this," and your body's kind of going like, "I am feeling flooded with adrenaline or cortisol right now or something, and we're not dealing with this." And you're like, "Yeah, but we're okay. We're doing this." And it's like, no. We gotta come back into the body. So the first thing you need to do is stop the mental spiral. And there's grounding exercises you can do for that. One of them is just simple box breathing, like a 4 in, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4 again. Do that for 3 to 5 minutes. It will immediately get you kind of back into your body. And it's really hard to do. The first minute is probably the hardest to do when you're in that kind of mode, because your brain is going to fight it. Just even things like, for me, one of the big ones is just like, I just rub my arms like this, or, like just kind of getting that sensation back into your body. I like this for 2 reasons. One, it kind of keeps you warm in the wintertime, which is nice, but it also gives you like this nice kind of feel on your hands and everything. It's that texture, your body feels, you're in touch with itself, which is really nice. And you can also just kind of put your feet on the floor. You might even want to stomp a little bit if that's something that we'll get to that for ways to let the energy out. And just telling yourself, I'm safe. In this moment, I am safe. I am safe right now. That is one that I have done many, many times. I actually do like the finger thing where I go from hit one finger to my thumb each time. I'm like, I am safe now. I am safe now. And I just kind of keep doing that to just kind of distract my brain that, is still trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the box breathing. I also like to do 2 sharp inhales and a really slow exhale. And I'll do this when like my kids don't want to eat the food I make and things like that. And they might feel like, why are you breathing weird, mom? And it's like, well, I'm trying to not, cause irreparable mental damage right now. But it's just amazing, because to have the awareness, then to have the coping skill, and then to calm your brain and to like get yourself from that overextended state to like back to a normal baseline.
Yeah.
It's a life changing for people, for families, for parents. It's life changing for everyone. And it's so simple and just requires just that half second of thought before you lose it to try one of these things.
Of that. And it's true. Yeah. The double sip is a really good one too. It's always been one of my favorites. So step 2 is you got to move that energy around. All right. Your body is tense. It thinks it's going to war or there's a tiger in the woods. You need to get that energy out of you. And the only way you're going to do that is by moving in some way. Fast walk is a great one. just even shaking's so good. It just kind of moves your lymph around and it just gets, just kind of bounce around. And if you're at work, go into a stall and do that if you don't want to look like the crazy one in the office today. And some other ones too, like, I mean, stomping is a really good one. Go outside. If you can get outside on the grass and just kind of stomp your feet for a little bit, that's a great way to release kind of the bad energy that's building up inside of you. Singing, really good one. You can sing a song and just kind of move. Breathing, we've kind of talked about. And just like, or stretching is another one, where you can just kind of move around. But any kind of movement that just snaps you out of the funk that your body's in. Because, even when we're talking about it right now, I can feel, I'm such an empath. I'm like, I feel my body like kind of lurching forward and tensing up as we're talking about this for no reason whatsoever. And I'm like, great, I need to be
Yeah.
fluid with this. I need to kind of move
Stay
with it.
loose.
Yeah.
Well, we
And
just
you,
published
go ahead.
We just published something on Instagram where we shared a study that showed that dancing and specifically people who did a 6-week movement schedule or like a 6-week class. It didn't have to be it could be salsa, it could be a cardio dance class, it could just be like booty popping if you want, like whatever it is. They found that 6 weeks of continued dancing was better for the study participants' mental health than any other coping skill exercise. In some cases, it was better than medication. So, movement really is a very powerful agent of change when it comes to bad days.
Love that. Yeah, it's that movement really is. We're not designed to sit down at our desk for 10 hours a day, but sometimes we do it and we do pay the effects of it. The other thing that's kind of happening with this bad day is that you think it's a bad day because it's not going the way you want it to. And I think that's another thing to kind of realize. We've labeled the events as bad, and I'm not saying like a car accident or somebody being unkind is a good thing, but I'm just saying we are allowing ourselves to be affected by it for a prolonged period of time. The next thing is you need to change your environment. So go outside, go to the bathroom, go to a different room, maybe put some cold water on your face, get some sunlight on you. If you're at home, go take a cold shower. That always gets your energy out faster than you might believe. But something to shift where you're at. So something bad has happened, you kind of recognize it. You ground into your body, you release it, and then you go kind of get away from the stimulus so that you can shift. What's your favorite way of shifting, Kat?
Yeah, I would say giving yourself permission to do those things because again, I think the tendency is to power through. And I like the taking a shower one. We joke that that's my dad's cure for everything. It's like, oh, you have a headache, go take a shower. And it's like, oh, your leg got sawed off, like try a shower. But I think what my dad has meant all these years when he's like, if you're upset, if you call him crying, he's like, all right, well, go take a shower. Sometimes I'll be like, and then go get an ice cream. But I think it is because you change your environment, you change your stimuli, you sort of step out the shower like clean, you've washed your face, you feel better. And so for me personally, it's either that and permission to let myself have a nap or a rest. I'm a big proponent of the 30-minute chill block. I call it my battery recharge. The kids know about it. Andrew knows about it. I'm like, I'm just doing my 30 minutes. Gonna listen to my book. And somehow it takes me out of the present. It kind of puts me into a story. It gets me sort of cozy. Sometimes it leads to like a 2-hour nap on accident. But a lot of the times it's just a little recharge and it really helps me a lot.
I like that. Yeah. And the nap is a really good one because it's almost like if you can have that midday nap, you almost wake up and it feels like you've reset
You
the
are in
day,
the
right?
next
Like
day.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, like you're in your next day. So it really is a good one. And that shower one has been so pivotal. And the more I've looked into it, like there's a lot of like holistic things that like what showering in water, I don't know how else you would shower, but like what it actually does like for purifying your energy and stuff like that. Whether you buy into it or not, it's just like there's something there on a whole bunch of different levels that impact us. So once you've done those things, then you can start to regulate your nervous system again. You've got the energy out, you've shifted environments. You can have a drink of maybe some tea, have some water. You can journal what happened and why you were feeling what you were feeling. You can just get a little bit more friendly and ask for a hug from somebody if you need that kind of sensory experience. Or you can just do a self-soothing hug, put one hand on your shoulder, the other one on your side, and just kind of give yourself a hug for a couple of minutes. It does wonders. And then once that's done, once you feel better, you can just say to yourself, I don't need to carry this anymore. I'm proud of how I handled this. And as you start to do this, because most of us, this is a long process of doing things, most of us are going to be barely able to do step one. We're barely going to be able to ground. But that's how it starts. You ground, and give yourself a pat on the back for that. That's a big deal. You interrupted your bad day. You were willing to give yourself a better day. And I think there's a lot of acknowledgement that needs to come from that. But yeah, ground, release. Yeah. Ground, release, shift, and regulate. And then debrief if you really need to, or just drop it and move on.
I think a lot of the sum of this is to treat yourself well on a bad day. Treat
Yeah.
yourself like you would treat the person you love the most. Treat yourself like, your little toddler who is sick today. Like, treat yourself to healthy food. You wouldn't, if your toddler's sick and running around, you wouldn't give them like a giant bag of candy, right? You would be giving them like chicken noodle soup, and you'd be like giving them a warm bath. And so making the next right choice for yourself and treating yourself like someone you love and care about, and doing all of these things for future you of tomorrow who's going to have a better day.
Exactly. So here are a few things to not do on a bad day that are going to make it worse. First, stop complaining about it. When you start complaining about it and oversharing, when you're dysregulated, you are feeding your brain that this is a positive thing. And you're starting to get dopamine in your brain and maybe oxytocin because you're relating to somebody. And you're going to start to think that having bad days is a good thing somewhere in the back of your brain. Even though you don't like it, it becomes like this kind of little sick addiction. Doom scrolling is another bad one. That's just your brain kind of hitting pause on the moment in your body. Again, that's why we want to get into our body and do all these things. Be kind to yourself. Stop the self-criticism. You're allowed to have a bad day. You're allowed to have a bad week and a bad month, but we just don't want you to make it a bad life because you didn't stop and process it. Don't make any big decisions either. That's usually, if you're having a fight with someone and you say things like, well, I'm never going to see you again and you're the worst parent ever and this and that or whatever. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just don't. Don't isolate yourself either, because moments like that, when we feel bad, companionship can be a real benefit to us. It really does help us. But try to just talk to a friend if you let it out for a minute and then focus on the good things that it comes from. And lastly, stop telling yourself the story over and over and over again in your head. I am very guilty of this. I know Kat does it too sometimes, but I'm really guilty of this one. It doesn't solve the problem. It's your brain just trying to solve something that can't be solved. So those are the things that I would say not to do. You have to just support yourself. So be kind. Do the things we've talked about in this episode. Make sure to go back and listen to it over and over again so that it becomes a habit.
I love that. I think you summed it up beautifully, and we hope this helps everyone listening who's having a bad day to have a better one tomorrow.
Yeah. So, Catherine, what is your glimmer this week?
If you're new here, glimmers are the happy, sparkly things that we tell you about that make us smile and make it fun. This is super old news to everyone else, but I'm very grateful that Andrew just subscribed to the Calm app, because I have been listening to the bedtime stories every night, and it's usually hard for me to fall asleep. Those things have been putting me to bed lightning fast, and I'm very grateful for it. And I know lots of people had the Calm app during the pandemic and things like that, but yeah, we just got it, and we're liking it.
I love it. Yeah, it's been so nice to have someone tell me a story before bed.
I
Like I know you
know.
and I will do that to each other at times, but for visualizations and stuff. But it's been really, really nice to just have that. Wow. And there's so many on there. So, I'm going to say the same thing for my glimmer. It's the Calm app. It has been a game changer. It's got a lot of different things on it, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, well, thanks for getting it for us. I appreciate you.
All right, listener. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.